SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
At Community Bank, we're more than a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors and trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've helped families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. We're dedicated to your success every step of the way. Community Bank, member FDIC.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5.
Good morning to you. How you doing on a Tuesday morning? Hope it's a wonderful day in your world. If not, make it a wonderful day. It's your choice. You can either laugh at the stupid people or give them the opportunity to make you mad and ruin your day. So might as well laugh at them. It's been my philosophy for a while, and I'm still here, so apparently it works. Hope it's going to be a good weather day as well. Lance Tolbert's over in the booth. How you doing this morning, sir?
Man, I'm hanging in there, Dave. How's it going?
Man, I got a pulse. I rolled out of bed this morning. I didn't face plant. It's a good day.
You know, I always get tested early on the way to work. You always have the left lane driver doing 32 miles an hour on their phone, doing something, and it never fails. It always happens like right before you get on the spillway, right where it bottlenecks, and you got to go 30 miles an hour for about an hour. So this morning I was running early enough that I just said to heck with it, man. Like you said, can't let the stupid people, get in your way. But no, the left lane drivers get me every morning. I always go, man, what are they thinking? And then I'll have a conversation with my sister, and she'll be like, I like riding in the left lane. I'm like, no, you can't. Brandy, please tell me you're not one of those left lane riders. I am. I don't like the right lane. That's the way it is. I try to follow the rules, Dave. I'm a rule and law abider.
Well, and that is a rule that is common sense. The left lane is for people with ticket money.
That's right. Yeah, and or in a hurry. And you don't have ticket money if you're in. In my case, I don't have the ticket money, but I have the ambition.
If you're in radio, you don't have ticket money. No,
I have the ambition, though, Dave.
Well, yeah. The other thing that brings up, though, I did my first morning show. What would it have been? About 1984. Okay, so it's been a minute.
84. I like it. Yeah.
I have been.
Radio in the 80s was awesome, wasn't it?
Oh, it's a completely different world. that was. I was at the tail end. I got into it at the tail end of the time when the record reps would show up at the station and take everybody to lunch and desperately try to get you to play Wang Chung or whatever they were pushing that week. It was a different time. It really was. But it was a different time in another way. I say that to say this. I've spent, by my calculations, roughly half of my life, a little bit over half of the time I've been on planet Earth, getting up at 4 a.m. and going to a radio station.
Right.
For some reason, over the last, I'd say 3 years, I am finally now experiencing traffic at this time in the morning.
Yeah.
Now, I'm down here in Pike County. I'm not in Jackson. I'm not in Chicago. I'm in Pike County. Used to, for decades, you get up at 4:30 and leave the house to go to work. It was you and like 2 other people total. I actually had to wait behind 3 other cars at a 4-way stop on the way into the station this morning, and I'm like, what is going on? I've been thinking this for a while. I don't know why. We don't seem to have that many more people. If you look at the census data, we don't. So why are more people out at this time of day? I can't figure that out.
You're just not counting them all, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's possible. It's likely, probably.
And I notice it's sporadic a little bit. Certain days there'll be a lot of traffic, early in the morning, and certain days there's not. And I've kind of come to the conclusion around here, if there's a lot of stuff going on in Starkville and Oxford on the same weekend, everybody is up and at 'em like on a Wednesday. You know, they're like, we're getting out of here. We're leaving Thursday. We're not going to work Friday. And Friday's usually just like crickets. You know, it's like if there's something going on, it's like crickets. There's nobody on the roads and kind of got the free run. Now, before we get too deep into what has happened on this day and the weather, we had a wonderful segment yesterday during the Schwartz Hour where we kind of got onto a game show topic. Not really sure how we did that, but Wooten was like, what was your favorite game show? Yeah, you know, so, and one of our amazing listeners informed us that this guy, Dave Hughes, the radio frontiersman here at SuperTalk, Mississippi, he was on Wheel of Fortune. Now, tell us a little about the Wheel of Fortune endeavor that Dave Hughes found himself in. Was it fun? I mean, like, what was it all about, man? I need to hear this story.
It was a lot of fun. They actually came through Jackson and held auditions. And there was a woman standing up there with a little cardboard spinner board, and she would just move it around and put it on the spot, and she would call on people and get them to play a mock version of the game just to see how you'd look, see how you acted. Now, me, I'm a smart aleck, so they were like, oh, yeah, we'll have you. I don't know how deep into the story I want to get because I could talk about this for the next 15 minutes, but I was, when you're selected, you get a 2-week notice for you have to be in L.A. to film, okay? So you don't know when it's going to be. Could be any time over the next 6 months. Yeah, they'll give you a call and say, hey, need you here in 2 weeks. Well, wouldn't you know it, your old buddy Dave, this was 1998, he was getting married in September. A week and a half before, well, 2 weeks before, actually, our planned wedding date and everything was set, I get notified I need to be in Los Angeles. We had to move the wedding up a week.
Oh, wow. That's always easy to do, too.
Yeah, 2 weeks before the ceremony, it's easy. There's nothing to it. But we did it, left, went out to L.A., filmed it, got there, and the first thing that you find out when you get there is it's an entire day. You spend one day on the studio lot. Mm-hmm. The first half of the day from 8 until noon, you had people from the federal government and the FCC come in and read you the riot act of what you were and were not allowed to do. Thanks to, have you ever seen the movie Quiz Show?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They actually mentioned that movie in the training. It was to prevent you from, if you glanced over at the audience, that didn't make any communication, just glanced over that way, you're out. Huh. Yeah, they would just stop taping and kick you out right then, and it'd be over.
That was the Ralph Fiennes movie, right?
Yes. And it was based on actual events. So then you go to lunch, and then they come in and they shoot 5 episodes in one afternoon, which means that the folks doing Wheel of Fortune work 4 days a month.
Okay. Four days, but they pump it in within 4 days, huh? They get it all done.
The most interesting thing to me, what that meant was I was in the studio audience watching 4 episodes get taped. And then, of course, I had to tape mine in the middle of that. The interesting thing happened with one of the other show tapings because the puzzle came up, and they emphasized this in the training that you had to say it exactly as it was on the puzzle. Well, they were filming, and it became obvious over the course of the game that the puzzle was these boots are made for walking. The song title. When the girl said, I'd like to solve the puzzle, Pat said, go ahead. She said, these boots are made for walking, and pronounced the G at the end. As soon as she said that, the lights went down, filming stopped. Pat and Vanna and the producer had a 10-minute meeting in the middle of the stage, and then came back, picked it right up from there, and he said, oh, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. So-and-so, your spin? She missed it because she had like $18,000 in her little bank at that point. She lost that because she pronounced the G at the end of walking.
Ah, that's pretty ticky, huh?
Oh, they're extremely ticky. But anyway, I did manage to win, what was it? $6,000, $7,000.
Some honeymoon money.
Well, when I got it, it was months.
5 years later, after a lot of taxes.
The lifetime supply of Little Debbie snack cakes came before that.
Really?
That was one of the, consolation going away prizes. We'll send you home today with all that kind of stuff. The UPS truck pulled up at my house one day, and he unloaded, I'm not exaggerating here, 3 dollies full of cases of, everybody got Little Debbie's for Christmas that year.
So did they continue bringing that to you on an annual basis, or is this, the lifetime supply came at once?
The lifetime supply comes at once, and the way they calculate that is, anybody that's going to eat all of this, how long are they going to live?
Right.
Okay, that's how many we send them, and then you go on your way.
That's hilarious. So I thought they may have sent you like a packet each year, but no, it's all at one time, and you got to either deep freeze them or give them away. Huh?
That, by the way, that little Uncle Dave lore here, that's where my addiction to Little Debbie's came from. It's Pat Sajak's fault.
We have the inside story now.
Yes. But it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun. There were wonderful people out there. And I'm not only saying that because they sent me a check with a comma in it. They're just very nice people. And I highly recommend, if you get the chance, take a swing at it. It's a life experience. It's something to talk about to the grandkids later, or on your show, whichever way your life tends to take you. We continue. We're just now getting warmed up on this Tuesday morning. Keep it here.
Good morning from the veteran.
Time to wake up. Time to shine. Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Tell yourself it just ain't right. My head is on loose, but the shoes are tight. Boys, my friends, they are fun. Life is like a riddle and I'm really strong. If you're easy, don't you know? Raw preoccupation is where you go. If you follow, look around. Someone in my shadow creeping on the ground. Sitting on the bed, lying wide awake. Demons in my head, it's more than I can take. Think I'm on a roll, but I think it's
One wasn't enough. Okay.
I'm sorry. My finger hit the wrong button.
You can only be on 3 game shows in your life.
Really?
Yes, that's part of the federal rules that came out of the quiz show scandal. You can be on 3 game shows in your life total, and that's it.
Now, is that 3 different game shows, or can you continue? Like, can you get invited back, like that family, or the guy that won on what was it, Jeopardy, so many times? Like, can he come back to another game show 3 times, or that one 3?
You could be invited back, but I believe that counts as one of your 3, if I remember correctly. Okay. Now, keep in mind, this was 1998. It's been a minute since I went through that training. But like in the case of Jeopardy, or in the case of Wheel of Fortune when that applied, a lot of game shows, if you win today, you're back tomorrow as the returning champion. That's all one appearance.
Okay, gotcha.
On a game show. If you just, run the table for a while. Ken Jennings, for example, he was on 40-something episodes of Jeopardy. That was one game show appearance on his record.
That's pretty interesting stuff.
But seriously, the last thing you're expecting Pat or Vanna to walk in and greet you. No, it's a federal agent.
Wow.
That's the first part of your day.
A man in black.
Literally. Literally had a black suit on. Nice guy, but it was just unexpected.
So we're going to be snooping on you for the rest of your life, Dave. Are you okay with that?
As long
as I get my Little Debbie snack cakes, good to go, huh?
Yeah.
I love it, man.
I got no problem.
It was L.A., correct?
Yeah.
I think I went to we went out there once, and I think we got into the Leno set at the time. It was many, many years. It was 20 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
I don't even remember it very much. I was not that taken, with it. I imagine if you were part of the ensemble that's on stage, I'm much more like you. I like to kind of be a little smart alecky and all that. So you're sitting there going, oh, I mean, I can answer these questions better than these folks can, So I don't remember too much about it other than me going, it's all right. This is cool.
I will tell you from experience, and I did solve several puzzles. I did not go to the bonus round because I blew it on the last puzzle I was trying to solve. It is not as easy standing there with the lights in your face and Pat judgmentally staring at you as you blurt out something stupid. It's not as easy to solve those puzzles as it is at home in the recliner.
Yeah,
it's not.
My problem would have been, I probably would have been like wondering, at what window of opportunity can I ask Vanna on a date? You know, I don't know if I'd have been concentrating well enough to solve anything. Like, yeah, man, is she going to look this way a moment? Can I wink at her? You know, like slip her a note or something? But nah.
The wheel is heavy.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Very heavy. You actually spend 30 minutes practicing how to spin it.
Okay. Do they tell you, like, not to spin it too hard or not to do it?
Yes.
Yeah, you got, like, a tutorial there to help you through it?
The wheel is constructed out of 1-inch thick plywood. And all of the little pie slots on it that have the numbers and the amounts and whatnot. Yeah, that's printed on cardboard with double-sided tape on the back.
Really? I mean, there's some glitter involved in that, too, if I remember.
Yeah. When you go during the break or they're about to go to another round where the spaces change on the wheel, they literally come out there and just rip them off and slap some new ones down in the space, line them up, and you're good to go.
I always wondered how heavy that wheel was on Price is Right. You know, the one that was it was standing up and it just spun. And you could really get a hold of that thing, and it looked like it would just kind of go forever.
I just think that one's well greased.
Yeah, very, very well greased and some great bearings in there.
Well, and the wheel on Wheel of Fortune is, you know, it looks like something the shop class made when you see it up front, up close. But it is very well made. It's
amazing, though, like, you know, how much, you know, you get to see, you know, the behind the scenes stuff. I remember going to that, like the Leno. It's like, it doesn't look like it does on TV. They do a really good job of staging and keeping everything orderly, because it's not as impressive in person. You know, the props and everything. You're like, oh, this is what, okay. How do they make it look so good? It's lighting, folks.
Yes.
The lighting is the key.
It's a great example of that, and this may have changed since then. Again, this was 28 years ago when I was on Wheel of Fortune. The spokes that click on the little clickers that you grab to spin it, bolts.
Oh, really? Okay. They just screw in, huh?
Yeah, literally. They have them with the head of the bolt underneath the wheel, and they stick them through. They stick way up, and they've got a nut holding them on at the end. That's what it was when I was there.
It is safe. I mean, you know, obviously, it's well put together, safe. It's not going to just come off the hinges or something, and roll off.
No.
Well, we probably ought
very good at that.
Ought to get some weather out of the way here this morning. I love talking about that. Some good stuff, man. Thanks for sharing. I had to ask you this morning, given that we had somebody yesterday let us know that you were on Wheel of Fortune. I was like, really? I've been working with him this long, and I did not know this? Goodness.
I don't bring
and
it
now
up.
I know the
work
story.
That into a conversation.
Yeah, well, the Little Debbie's could have been it. I mean, I know your addiction to Little Debbie's, but I had no idea where that came from. So,
hi, I'm Dave. I was on Wheel of Fortune. That's a little pretentious, so it just never comes up.
That's the way I introduce myself to everyone. No wonder I have no friends.
Number one, they know your name's not Dave, so already you've misled them.
They're like, this guy's crazy. Well, across the state, there'll be a little rain in the forecast through the day, a little bit more as you go north, a little less as you go south. The Delta and Jackson area will be around 30% chance today, a little bit through the evening as well, a little more actually, around 80% through the evening in the central Mississippi area. Tomorrow, still have some chance of rain and showers, 80%. As I keep looking at this Euro model, though, it's hard to say where it's going to hit. It looks a little. It's not one of those blanket clouds that we've seen in the past couple of weeks. This looks a little bit more sporadic. So wherever you are, if you're north, central, or west and east Mississippi, probably going to run across differing probabilities of rain through today, tonight, and tomorrow. The coast, though, is a little bit clearer. Around Diamond Head, it'll be 86 today. Beautiful day. Pretty hot. 15-mile-an-hour southeast wind. Mostly cloudy tonight. 72. 20% chance of thunderstorms and showers tomorrow after 1. And you have about an 85-degree temp there and about southeast winds of 10 miles an hour. So Wednesday, not too bad. You got a little rain in the forecast for the coast, but I know a lot of people are making their way that direction. School's out. Beach is getting packed. So pack up the good stuff. It looks like it's going to be pretty good. There is a extended forecast there through the week on the coast. There's just basically these types of summer showers that you start getting where they pop up during the day, and it's 20% here, 30%, 20%. By the time you get to Friday of the week, though, if you're going to be on the beach and having a good time, there may be a little bit more probability for rain as you go through the week. But, that's what happens when you go to the beach. Every now and again, you just need to relax, enjoy the rain, sit on the balcony,
every
eat a ham
time
sandwich.
I try to go to the beach, that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's going to happen, man. Just get you a ham sandwich and a cold one and enjoy.
And one of those beach umbrellas, and you can sit there and watch everyone else get wet. It's perfect.
I love watching them try to hold them down when the wind
Yes.
It's like, this guy's going to end up in China. He needs a little bit more girth to hold that baby down. But we also have quite a bit in the sports arena. Obviously,
nothing going on in sports. What are you talking about?
I'm going to hit lady softball first because Mississippi State will be taking on Oklahoma. They're 41-18. State is. Oklahoma's number 3, though, 51-8. Never played on a team that won 50-something games in a season. That must be fun. So that's going to be happening at 12 o'clock on Friday. So ESPN2, we're going to set that up. Congratulations to the Dogs for getting that under the belt there. So I wanted to cover that before we got too deep into good stuff because I kind of forgot to get to that one yesterday. But on this day in history, before we get into sports, the most famous happy birthday in the history of mankind was sung by Marilyn Monroe.
Yes.
And on this day, it was not JFK's birthday, but it was a big fundraising Democrat gala in New York, and they were celebrating the president's birthday as well, and that's where you get the happy birthday, Mr. President.
Yeah.
At the point where most folks knew there was maybe something going on, she was wearing a flesh-colored dress and very, very Marilyn Monroe, and, it was just one of those most famous moments. Is there a more famous happy birthday that has ever been sung? That's what I wanted to throw out to you listeners today. Dave, do you have one?
No,
I don't think
that's got to be top of the list, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be, man. I mean, think about it. That's you couldn't get away with that today, I don't think.
Also, an unofficial record set on that day. I'm pretty sure Jackie set the record for the highest human blood pressure. Would be my guess.
It had to be. It had to be. Goodness gracious! Knowing that there was,
everybody knew.
Yeah, things are happening out there. But we'll get back to more of the things on this day and birthdays when we get back. But I wanted to cover that before we hit the break.
Fantastic. We continue. Presented by Community Bank on mornings on this Tuesday morning. Keep it here.
From the SEARUC.com. Start your day right.
Good morning, America. How are you?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
He has always made a great effort to make a vest full of harmonicas look cool. John Popper.
He could hide them anywhere, too. He's a big old boy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was plenty of territory to have your harmonicas on. Welcome back. And we got interrupted by the break. You were in the middle of giving us some interesting information, including making us think of Marilyn Monroe. And for that, we thank you.
Yes, always. It's a pleasure to be able to bring these factoids to you each and every day. One of the great birthdays to be aware of today, Malcolm Little. Most folks know him as Malcolm X. Changed his name a couple of times to signify his shifts in his religious and, his internal thinking. The first was to Malcolm X, and then the latter shift in his last name, and make sure I get this correctly, was what was it? El Hajj? Yeah, El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. Now that's a cool name there. You go from Malcolm
it rolls
Little.
off the tongue. It's got a nice rhythm to it.
What a good movie, too. I mean, honestly, I thought it was well done. Denzel, one of my faves, but what an interesting story behind Malcolm X, though. It really is. Came to many realizations during his lifetime, and one of those that, I'm a proponent of change, when things change. And in life, many things change, and you always got to kind of keep reinventing yourself to find your better self. Not sure he ever got there, but he tried, and very interesting human being. Ho Chi Minh, another one, Vietnamese leader, passed in 1969. It's his birthday today. One of my favorites, though, Andre the Giant.
Yes.
Yes. Princess Bride fame, that's where he got his name, obviously, from that movie. But no, what a great wrestler. Love listening to him talk. But in The Princess Bride, he was a rhyming giant. Like putting those two together. Pretty interesting, but his original name, Andrei Rene Roussimoff. I don't know if many people knew the actual real name, but what an amazing guy. Stood over 7 feet tall, and it was really caused by gigantism and acromegaly. How do you say that? Acromegaly? I think that's the right way to say
something
that.
Like that.
Acromegaly. Yeah. But yeah, what an interesting guy.
I'm not even going to try it.
And he was a French guy, too,
Yes, he was French.
Then, it was interesting, too, because you have his birthday today, and then they had the big Hulk Hogan documentary thing that just released, and I haven't watched it yet, but I'm sure some have seen that and probably have some things to add there. He was all the wrestlers, though. I kind of enjoyed them growing up. I don't know, were you a wrestling fan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my grandfather got me into Mid-South wrestling back in the day.
Yeah, man. Going down to the Coliseum and catching all that stuff, and then you had the big boys up in Memphis and DiBiase and all that crew, and it was just a great time the 80s were for wrestling. Got to see that firsthand. Pete Townsend, great musician, 81 years old. Grace Jones, 78 years old. Phil Rudd, the AC/DC drummer, 72 years old. Let's see if there's any other good ones in here. That's probably about it on today's birthdays. One of the cool things, though, there were several. Oh, yeah, don't forget about good old Pol Pot, his birthday. Yeah, he was born in 1925.
Let's quickly bake a cake for him.
Definitely. Kevin Garnett, American basketball player. His birthday's today as well. An interesting event. I really kind of didn't remember this until I went back, kind of read a little bit. But Iranian hardline president Ibrahim Raisi died in a helicopter crash. Masoud Pezeshkian, he took over afterwards, but that was 2024. So we think back about a year and a half ago. That's when that happened. So there were some things going on, obviously behind the scenes in Iran, losing a leader, and then you have the guy that's in it now. I just don't remember the helicopter crash. And like I said, I go back and it kind of spurred my memory a little bit. But man, there's been some stuff going on in Iran for quite a while, especially with the leadership class there. Another interesting thing that happened on this day, Prince Harry married American actress Meghan Markle at St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. The ceremony was unlike any others before because it was a mix of pomp and circumstance, and it had a little African-American culture mixed in. The latter, obviously, a celebration of the bride's biracial background. And that obviously...
I think I speak on behalf of quite a few people when I say...
It's weird, but, and then you had the controversy.
Just in general, the whole thing.
Yeah, then you had the controversy. What was it about? One of the royals kind of popped off under their breath about... how dark is the baby going to be? And then it was assumed that it was the Queen, and they're like, no, it wasn't the Queen who said that. Even Harry, confessed that it was not the Queen in the most immediate. But that was if you think about a wedding that really just kind of shattered the normal mindset of the royalty, I think for England is, you've had all of the scandals over the years, but this was just a basic, hey, I want to marry this person, and they do, and then they basically say, hey, we're out. We don't want to do any of this royal stuff anymore. We want to go make it on our own and have a chicken farm or something.
Well, let me just say a couple of things about what you were just talking about. Number one, a lot of the problems with the royal family is due to self-selected inbreeding. Come on. That family bush it doesn't have a lot of leaves on it. They do that on purpose because, they're better than everyone else. So we can only expect them to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, stupid. And I'm exaggerating, but not that much. But once again, for the people, I've got a friend of mine who is obsessed with the royal family and everything about it. Once again, I am very thankful that a whole bunch of people gave their lives 250 years ago to where I don't have to care. It doesn't matter to me.
I'm one of those. It doesn't do anything for me. The castles and the pomp, circumstance, uniforms, the wigs, all of the medals that they think they won for something. It doesn't do anything for me, but that's neither here nor there.
You think I'm joking?
No.
Go look up things like the Habsburg lips.
Oh, yeah.
Or the Windsor nose. It's inbreeding.
Yeah, well, my mama would always say, you can't trust anybody when the eyes is that close together. So, there's that. You got that going for you. Well, on this day in 1964, the State Department disclosed that 40 hidden microphones had been found in the U.S. Embassy in Moscow. Ooh, sneaky Russians, yeah.
Notice the phrasing of that. That's not how many were there. That's how many were found.
Yeah, that's they didn't find the ones they swallowed in the ham sandwiches or drank in the vodka or, that was just the ones in the building, yeah.
Yeah, that's the ones that they were able to locate.
I always loved these two, and I mean, there's nothing against the first of anything. 1965, Patricia R. Harris, and I know that's what people remember her for, is that she was the first black female ambassador to Luxembourg. That's one of those things that you got to be very proud of. Luxembourg, that's a nice little tax haven. Wonder if she was able to, put back some cabbage while over there.
Squirrel a few bucks away. Why not?
Yeah, and then this one here is good, too, the 1991. Willie T. Ribbs. What a name. Willie T. Ribbs. I think that's going to be my new radio personality name. Willie Ribbs. That's me. Well, Willie Ribbs in 1991 became the first black driver to qualify for the Indianapolis 500. How cool is that, I don't know if we needed this, though, but on this day in 1994, the FDA approved the first genetically engineered tomato. Well, I'm pretty convinced that tomatoes made it for a long time without being genetically engineered. But, if you got to spend the taxpayer money to do that, go for it, man. I'm all for it, right? I want to sprout a horn on one side of my head and then an elf ear on the other from all the genetically modified foods, just so I can, get a following on TikTok or something.
Jeff Goldblum spoke a lot of truth in Jurassic Park, the original movie, when he said, your scientists were so worried about whether or not they could, they never stopped to think whether or not they should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And genetically engineered tomatoes is a great example. We have tomatoes.
Yeah, we've had them. Right.
They're working great.
We do just fine.
Put them in the ground, they grow out, they pop right up, you have a sandwich. This is not, we don't need to bring science into that.
Well, you had in this day, in 2020, a study published in Nature Climate Change revealed that greenhouse gas emissions had dropped by 17% worldwide in April 2020 when the world was locked down. I guess, that you weren't driving, you weren't going anywhere, the trains weren't moving, the buses weren't going anywhere, and the cows just weren't farting enough, I guess, so... Yeah, I was reminded myself that we, a few years ago, culled about 1 million cows on the planet because we were worried about the gas that they were emitting. I mean, I listened to Bill Gates 15 years ago, an interview talking about, we've got to get rid of all the cows, they're farting too much. And then fast forward 15 years, and he's like, no, that's not the biggest problem anymore. It's not the cow gas. We need to make sure people have incomes.
Well, my favorite thing about climate change, we'll get into it later. It's going to take a minute. There's something going on right now, coming up, that is just hilarious to me. But we'll talk about that later because we've got to talk about money. And we're going to do that with the Mississippi Lottery next on Mornings. Keep it here.
Good morning from the...
Good morning. Good morning to you there.
Okay, up and
Adams. Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Ceasefire text line, I love you. Scott and Clinton says the royal family tree is a wreath.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He's not wrong.
No. Well, and then let's not shortchange Thomas either, because he said, are you talking about the riding coach's kid?
Yeah.
Probably. Yes, sir, Thomas. You nailed it.
That's exactly who we're talking about. You're right. All right, it's time to get to the good stuff, and we have a kind of a momentous thing going on with the Mississippi Lottery right now. Lotto America, third largest jackpot in its history, $27 million, estimated cash value of $11.85 million. The drawing tomorrow night will be the 120th drawing since they had a winner. 120 times they've pulled numbers for this, and nobody's won the jackpot. They last saw someone hit it in August of last year. You don't see these things go for that long usually. And the tickets are only $1. You can add the $1 all-star bonus, multiply your non-jackpot win. And, you know, this is like a deal. So go participate. Go have some fun with that. Now, everything else, we got some serious money on the table. Powerball's up to $113 million estimated jackpot. Mega Millions, $277 million. Mississippi Match 5, the Lance Tolbert game, $600,000 tonight's drawing, tonight's jackpot. That's pretty good. I'll take that.
I need a finder's fee off of that. Yeah.
Yes, I think you deserve a cut, like 1/10 of 1/5 of 1%.
I'll take it. Yeah, definitely.
I'm pretty sure that'll work out to about $250. But you know,
I want it in pennies too, please.
Oh, we can make that happen. We'll give you more in pennies.
That's what I'm saying. I'll probably get some lagniappe there if you give me the pennies.
Now, if you could find them.
That's what I'm saying. They're a collector's edition now.
Yeah, you can't find pennies. Recent winners, my favorite part of this. Cash 4, man in Tupelo won $2,500. A Natchez man won $2,700. A man in Jackson won $5,000. And a woman in Brandon, $10,100 on 3 tickets for Cash 4. That's good stuff. Cash Pop, lot of winners here. Natchez, Saltillo, Jackson, Waynesboro, and Crystal Springs, $1,000 each on tickets they bought. A woman in Port Gibson won $1,250. A Boyle woman won $2,500. Match 5, here you go. Players in Greenville, Jackson, Meridian, Boonville, and Neely each won $800, and a Tupelo woman won $1,000. All of this goes to show we focus on the jackpots, but there's a lot of money to be won in these things that have nothing to do with the actual big-time jackpot amount. You got to keep that in mind when you're going. Scratch-offs, the $5 10 times winner, the 10X winner, $2,500 won on that one by a Walnut Grove woman. She gave him $5. She got $2,500 back. I'll take it. The $10 20X tickets, $5,000. A Memphis, Tennessee man bought a ticket in South Haven, won $5,000. The $20 full of 5,000s winners, we had 2 of those, Greenville and Batesville. And how much did they win on the full of 5,000s, Lance?
I have no idea.
5,000.
5,000, yeah.
Yeah. So it's right there in the name.
Testing me this morning.
Yes, I'm making you pay attention. Kosciuszko woman won $1,000 on the $30 Millionaire Maker winner list. And then players in Pascagoula, Brookhaven, Newton, and Pearl each won $2,000 on the Millionaire Maker. There's a lot of ways to win. There's a lot of money to be won. And a lot of money, this is the important part, a lot of money being won. That's all being won by people who bought their tickets. So head to your Mississippi Lottery retailer, and you can hopefully join that list.
Yeah,
I'd love to be talking about you.
Well, I mean, you can buy with $2,000, you could probably fill up 3 times in gas, or you could make a dollar cost average contribution to your 401k or IRA. That's a nice little.
As long as it's just regular. If you do the premium, that's about a fill up and maybe a gas can.
Yeah, Wooten was talking about yesterday. He had to fill up his. He says, I have to put premium in my car, and he was saying how much it was. I about flipped out of my chair here. I was like, yeah, I need one of those electric bikes to get to work. How much does that cost? Yeah, they do.
You're telling me I can tell everyone I just went and rode my bike around for an hour or two, and it's an electric bike, and I didn't do anything?
I love those. I need one of those things. I feel like I'm cheating. If you're riding a bike, you're kind of supposed to be pedaling. Pedal the wheels, keep moving. But those things look pretty cool.
Yeah. I would really like one of those. My wife told me that the only problem, it's not the cost of getting an electric bike, it's the medical bills afterwards.
Exactly,
That's what she's worried about.
That's a good worry. We need to keep you safe, Dave.
I haven't come up with a good argument for that one yet, so help me out if you get a chance. We've got news from Fox, news from SuperTalk Mississippi News, and then hour number 2 of mornings on a Tuesday morning. Keep it here.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Wake up! Wake up! Rise and shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Nice early morning surprise.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by the fine folks at Community Bank. They're here for every part of your financial journey. If you're looking to manage your personal finances, their banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. If you're ready to grow your business, they offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. Now, if you're dreaming of a new home, their mortgage specialists are there to make the process seamless for you, all designed with you in mind. They're more than just a bank. They're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Big election day. It never ceases to amaze me how varied the election cycle can be, because, Saturday we had the big election in Louisiana where Bill Cassidy got basically defeated. He finished third in the Republican primary. Interesting fact about that, he is the first sitting senator to not win his primary, to not be reelected, since Republican Senator Scott Brown of Massachusetts in 2012. Yeah, when we talk about incumbents just go right back in, yeah, that's usually how it works. So you had that on Saturday. Today we've got the nation is focused on the big Thomas Massey election in Kentucky. That's the headline news for election-wise. And then you've got down here in Pike County, Macomb, Mississippi, we have the runoff for the mayor's race in Macomb. Macomb is a special charter city. We don't do anything when anyone else on the planet does it, it feels like. 2 weeks ago had the primaries. It's the only runoff. And what's interesting is Democratic runoff. We had all Democratic candidates, basically. What's interesting is, we hear the word misinformation a lot, and it comes in a lot of different forms. In Pike County, the word has been going around, well, if you're a Republican, you can't vote in the Democratic primary. Then the word went around, well, If you didn't vote in the primary, you can't vote in the runoff. Both of those are untrue. And I hear the same kind of thing about other elections. If you vote in one party's primary and there's a runoff, you have to vote in the same party's runoff. That's the way that works. However, if you didn't vote 2 weeks ago in that particular one, you can vote today. Doesn't matter. But the misinformation being spread around is indicative of what we see all over the country right now. Mm-hmm. Everybody tries to twist things around to make people believe something that's not true to help themselves. It's getting old.
It's the way of the world today, right? I mean, it's just so full of misinformation, or at least in some cases, extremely polarized information, left or right. As I dig in on a daily basis, I'm kind of blown away. I'm glad that I wasn't trying to write thesis in college and those things in the world we live in today, but just trying to corroborate factual information and where it comes from, primary source. It's almost impossible. It takes a lot of digging.
Yeah, it does. And that's the thing. We've talked about it before. I've mentioned it before. One of the biggest lacks that we have in modern society is a severe, almost critical lack of critical thinking. Mm-hmm. People don't think past what they're told. That's just the way the world is working right now, for better or worse. Spoiler, it's worse. Mm-hmm. You have to think, you have to verify what you hear from a trusted source, because everybody in all directions is just making up whatever sounds good that'll help them the most right now.
Well, the thing, the election that really gets me, the one, and we've covered this, and a lot of folks are watching it, is the Massey election today, or who he's running against. Obviously, it's very contested, but we keep talking about those that are kind of break from MAGA or break from Trump, and he's one of the ones that I find very interesting because he's a fiscal conservative. He wants the government running smoothly, audited, and getting rid of the Federal Reserve. These are things that Trump seemed to believe in. Foreign policy, he was a very strong anti-interventionist, regularly votes against aid packages, things that it seemed Trump was very big on. Civil liberties and privacy, he's a staunch defender of the Second Amendment. He's a gun toter and a good old country boy, and that's something that Trump was pretty big on, and government transparency and and the COVID-19 policies and things. So it seems to me that he's very much within that, but yet on the fringe of the MAGA movement. And that's it's hard to distinguish sometimes to me, because being a conservative, it's hard to see that Republicans and conservatives and moderates cannot figure out a way to get together and galvanize the ability to move forward. It just seems they're so busy fighting each other at this point.
You know what bothers me, I think, the most about this, and it actually has nothing to do with who needs to win. He's running against a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough election.
It's not just some guy that came out of nowhere. He's a Navy SEAL with a good record. What bothers me is we have reached the point, again, on both sides. It's much worse on the liberal side of things. You're not allowed to ever show the slightest hint that you may have changed your mind on anything. We celebrate inflexibility now.
That's a good point.
And I'm not sure that's a winning long-term strategy. You have to roll with the punches. You have to change the way you're thinking. Now, in Massey's case, he's done that in a very stupid way several different times. Don't get me wrong. But people get unloaded on all the time if they don't toe the line 100%. The difference is on the conservative side, well, we're going to work to try to get you defeated in a regular lawful election. The liberals will just firebomb your house. So there's a difference here. Don't get me the wrong way. But I just feel like we've got to get a little flexibility back in what is allowed politically in the world, because I'm not entirely sure this is going to work out like everybody thinks it's going to work out. And here's why I say that. In 2 years, we no longer have President Trump. he'll be done. Then what? Yeah. Then where do we go?
And who's your torchbearer?
Right. And I personally, I would say right now the torchbearer is going to wind up being Marco Rubio.
It's hard to disagree with his effectiveness at this point either.
Well, he's doing 75 different jobs. I just think he has really, and I think internally they may be positioning that way. Vice President J.D. Vance was asked something about the Republican ticket for the next election, and he said, I'm a big fan of Marco Rubio. He's a good friend of mine and really effective. And I'm like, okay, we're starting to get some mild signaling about where the machinery internally is chugging towards here. That's my guess. We'll wait and see. It could be the guy running against Massey. We don't know at this point. It's far too early to tell. But there is a difference between being flexible and being able to change your path if you think the one you're on is not leading you where you want to go. There's a difference between that and being disloyal to the cause, I think. This is, by the way, not a defense of Thomas Massey.
I'm the same way. I was just throwing out some factoids.
Yeah, as I said a few minutes ago, he has varied from the path. He has exhibited his flexibility in a really stupid way on some issues where I didn't agree with him at all, and the way he voted. But I just find it interesting that, you disagree. Well, you're done. That's it. But this also illustrates, and I was talking about Cassidy in the Louisiana election on Saturday. All their elections are on Saturday in Louisiana because, hey, you don't have work. Go on in. It's not a bad plan, obviously. But it's also a great example of just how much you hear arguments against this all the time in the media, just how much control of the Republican Party President Trump has. And you don't get that level of control just because you showed up and you smile pretty. He's got a lot on the ball, got a lot going on, and a lot of people listen to every word he says for very good reason. There's a thin line between being flexible and being rebellious, and I think Massey has crossed that.
Gotcha.
That's why I think the nonsense is going on right now. So we'll see. We'll continue when we come back.
From the Venable Glass.
SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Ladies and gentlemen,
here we go. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross.
Now that's entertainment.
Welcome back. Super Talk, Mississippi Mornings on a Tuesday morning. That was the most horrible next segment teaser in history because I got everybody thinking about chicken, and I was talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson. Completely different Tyson.
I thought you were talking about Tyson chicken, too. I was looking for a chicken biscuit around here somewhere.
No, well, I would be willing to accept a chicken biscuit. I'm easy that way.
Ooh.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, I find this interesting, the current climate regarding the whole UFO and alien life thing. We had the big release from the government, the first set of documents and films and pictures after President Trump signed the executive order saying it all had to be released. Did you see the image he put out on Truth Social a couple of days ago?
It was horrible.
That was awful.
What was that? Like a light? Something you play with your cat with,
Oh, no, I'm talking about a different one. He put out an AI image of himself surrounded by security walking next to a gray alien in chains. This is being toyed with and pushed hard. Neil deGrasse Tyson has shot down the idea of alien life for a long time. You know, he is the dark cloud that's surrounding every silver lining when it comes to these kind of topics.
He's got too much reason. You know, he's too reasonable.
You would think he has changed all of a sudden, like
He's
flipping a switch.
Neil on the grass Tyson now, huh?
He is. He went on CNN and said that they asked him about do you think alien life exists? He said the real question is not are we alone, it's are we ready? Are we? I mean, this guy has been vocally against this kind of stuff forever. He has switched gears completely. He has written a new book called Take Me to Your Leader, discussing how we're going to deal with alien life once we find out it exists.
Yeah. I mean, my opinion on what alien life is robots. Yeah, I mean, that's my opinion. I don't believe that they're, to me, again, just as much as I've dug in over the many, many years, it seems it'd be very hard for a living thing to travel forever and ever unless they done figured out some other kind of physics that we don't have any idea about. And maybe that's the case. But to this point, I believe that you're dealing with some type of cybernetic organism potentially. Something that's highly evolved, way beyond what we are with technology, and probably, is running some form of Grok or Chat GPT.
Well, and you have to remember, too, that, and that's the problem. It's very hard to conceive of some type of alien life. And here's why. I'll give you one example. Human beings, all life on Earth is carbon-based. Well, most life on Earth is carbon-based. You can also have silicon-based life.
Yeah.
That could be a thing that happens, and it's so, pardon the overuse of the word, alien to our thought processes, we have no hope of understanding it. A question from Tyson's book. I got to get this and read this.
Please do.
From chapter 1. What if the alien greets you the way Earth dogs greet each other, and it simply wants to come around and sniff your butt?
Yeah, probably
that's
a
not
law
off
against
the table.
Yeah, so a law against that these days, I think.
There is for aliens. It's not. They're not in our jurisdiction. I don't think. But the courts would have a field day with that. But
they're like, we don't know. We didn't know you couldn't do that. Huh?
Two things. Number one, it's impossible to figure out exactly what it would be if you're starting from a blank slate. Could be anything. He could be right. They could walk up and go nanu nanu when they get out of their big egg-shaped spaceship.
I want the cone heads. If that's what
the cone heads.
I want those guys. Yeah, I like them.
That's going on. So we've got the push from the president and from the federal government. The Department of Defense is releasing stuff. Previous skeptics are now coming out and completely bypassing the do aliens exist and going, how are we going to deal with them when we find out they're there? Which is an interesting shift to me. And then June 12th, we have the latest Spielberg masterpiece called Disclosure Day releasing in theaters. It really feels like we're getting a build-up to something here.
It does. I mean, it feels like it's been building for quite some time, too, especially since the military, what is it, about a year and a half ago, started releasing files, the DOD files. It showed all these little weird things and, locking on to them, and everybody's kind of freaking out and going, what is this thing? So the ones that we saw in the last year and a half seem to be some impetus for some type of disclosure, whatever it may be. Now, I'm anxious to see what it is, because obviously we all have opinions, but I just really want to hear Trump when he talks about meeting, the alien leader and giving us how he, like he talks about, Xi Jinping and all them. It's like, I want to hear how he describes the alien.
Laura Trump said on a podcast, she was being interviewed, said she asked President Trump about this, and he said, I've got a speech already prepared. I'm just waiting for the right time to deliver it.
Yeah. Xanadu, boy, he's a good-looking guy. I mean, he's the blue hair and purple skin. Man, if we could just have him running Iran right now, you can imagine.
We have the best aliens.
The best aliens ever. Yeah, the Russians don't have the best aliens. We have the best aliens. Yeah.
No, they got the little short gray guys. We got the Nordics. We got the good ones.
We got the blonde-headed aliens. Yeah,
they're
not
beautiful.
the bald heads. Yeah.
But the worst Trump impersonation ever. Thank you very much. It's just interesting that we have reached this point when back in the 40s, when Roswell happened, they immediately put out this ridiculous story about it being a weather balloon. And then 30, 40 years later, they came back and said, oh, no, it was a secret program. And that program, they were launching dummies on balloons, testing some things. It was a secret Department of Defense program, and they couldn't admit at the time what it was. But that's what it was. It was dummies in balloons, not just balloons. And now we're all the way to, okay, watch this video. As a career military and aviation officer, I have no idea what that is, and we have nothing that can come even close to doing what that's doing on this video. Any questions? That's a heck of a jump.
Yeah. What if it's like Mars Attacks? What if they're the kind of aliens that we get? Just idiots, just like the dumbest people on the planet. Like, how did you get this spaceship? And they can't even speak to you. They're just mark, 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 mark.
Well, and I think that has been helped along by television and movies and whatnot. We view alien species as like a monolith. They're all exactly alike, like they've been stamped out of a machine. Yeah. Aliens have morons too.
They'd have to, right? I mean, there's got to be some dumb aliens somewhere. Keep bumping into everything in the saucer. The ones that keep crashing, those are the ones that you're worried about. They're like, well we're not getting the cream of the crop here,
That's the thing, though. The number of people who have left our planet and went to the moon, that is a vanishingly small number. The best of the best, right? Mm-hmm. That's all you send out is the best of the best. The dingbats stay down here and watch it on TV.
Yeah.
Same thing with them. Mm-hmm. Right? that would be a logical assumption, as much as you can make those.
What do they eat?
Who knows?
Yeah, will they come to the South because of the food, do you think? Or do they just, they have like a tablet that they take for food?
May absorb nutrients from the air. You don't know. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be the hardest part of that kind of thing, if this ever happens, is all of the preconceived notions, and that ain't right. Yeah, there is no right here. We have no idea. So I just find it interesting that we are now at the highest levels having a very serious conversation about aliens being real.
What do you think remember Ronald Reagan's comments, if there was an alien force that came to the world and we would all find a way to get together and get along? Do you see that happening if the aliens show up? Or does it really matter what type of aliens they are?
I think the only way that would happen is the only way it's ever happened in human history, and that's if the aliens attack and we all join together to go back at them.
Yeah, well,
that would be the only way. Which brings me neatly around to Project Bluebeam, and thankfully for everybody, we're out of time in this segment.
You're not getting into holograms and such. We can't finish that up in this segment,
man. But yeah,
as Thomas says, corn in the Delta is tall enough now for some crop circles. So.
Any day now. Let's go.
Any day now.
I'm ready.
Have we ever had a crop circle in Mississippi? I don't think so.
I don't know. Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
We'll know that they're here because obviously if they have any kind of appetite or they love music, they're coming here.
Aside from Jim Bob getting drunk and cutting donuts in the field in his pickup truck, I don't think so.
Not quite a crop circle, huh?
Well, it's a circle in the crops. What are you looking for? Come on. Your standards are too high. That's the problem here.
You're right.
When we come back, shifting gears completely, Northern District Public Service Commissioner Chris Brown joins us here on the show on mornings right after this. Keep it here.
The gator's got your granny. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Everybody said it was a shame, 'cause her mama was a wicking on ting, ding. Richard, spiteful, straight rich.
From the SEARUC.com.
This segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
It's time to switch on. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Substitution, mass confusion, clouds inside your head. Involving all my energies until you visited. porcelain and a blue. They shocked me into sense.
Welcome back. Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Dave Hughes here, and we are now joined, and I'm going to try to get this right. He's Northern District Public Service Commissioner Chris Brown, but he's also the president of the Southeastern Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners. That's a mouthful. Chris, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing better than I deserve. How you doing this morning, Dave?
About the same. Now, tell us, before we get into the convention going on this week, the meeting going on this week down on the Gulf Coast, let's talk about the Northern District. How are things going in the Northern Public Service Commissioner District?
The cleanup is still ongoing from Fern, believe it or not. That winter storm was brutal for us up here. And so a lot of trees, a lot of debris still being mulched and cleared. So a lot of the counties and cities, municipalities are still struggling to get all that kind of cleaned up and out of the way. But other than that, power's on, water's good. So Northern District, it's a great place to live.
Well, and I really think you illustrate something that's the kind of thing that slips your mind if you haven't been through a severe weather event. A couple of weeks later, you're not just back to normal. It takes months, sometimes years, to get everything back to normal, doesn't it?
It does. So our linemen and our local power companies did a fantastic job, but a lot of times they were getting stuff done really fast. So sometimes you got to go back and kind of adjust things and kind of do general maintenance again. Of course, right-of-way clearing is everything's growing, so it's spring, so right-of-way clearing is an ongoing struggle. So it's a never-ending battle to keep the lights on for sure.
Well, and that is the problem with everything when it comes to utilities and the things that the Public Service Commission deals with. It never stops. You don't get a rest break at any point, do you?
No, sir. But it's amazing. We at the conference here we had the governor, Tate Reeves, do our keynote address, our opening keynote address, and he's always great to throw out the numbers of where Mississippi is, and the power advantage that we have gives us an economic development advantage. So our rates are still really low as compared to the rest of the country, and that attracts not only does it keep more money in our pocket and our quality of life better, but it also is attracting industry from around the world.
Now, let me ask you, you bring that up, and we have a lot of data centers coming into Mississippi, which is an absolutely fantastic thing. Do you foresee that possibly putting some kind of strain on the electrical system in Mississippi and possibly making the power cost more?
Dave, that's the question everybody's asking around the country. We have three different examples of the way data centers are trying to locate around the country. We have XAI up here in the Northern District. That's an Elon Musk company. They've invested $20 billion. It's the largest single investment in Mississippi that to date, and they're going to be creating their energy, what they call behind the meter. So they're not going to be connected to the grid. They are creating their own energy with their own gas turbines. So it won't disrupt the grid at all. And they are generating energy now. They're going to have up to 41 turbines up there. And when they do that, I know the president and his administration are really pushing these data centers and these power-hungry industries to get behind the meter so it doesn't disrupt the potential of disrupting the grid goes down when it's behind the meter. They're not interconnecting into the system.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and that's something that we don't see mentioned because everybody is gloom and doom 24/7 about everything, including and especially, it seems like right now, the data centers moving into places. This is a big plus for Mississippi, isn't it?
It is a huge plus. We had another keynote speaker yesterday, economist Stephen Moore, and he lives in Loudon, Virginia, and he was talking about they have the largest data center in the country there in Loudon, Virginia. And he said not only has it driven down the property tax because of the tax that they pay, the property tax that data center pays. He said that they not only drove down the property taxes of Loudoun County, Virginia, they are also paying for the schools through their taxes, and they're also paying for a lot of other things that the citizens would have to pay for if they were not there. So if done right, then a data center can really add a lot of money and economic development to a community, and to a city and a county and a state.
You know, as a public service commissioner, you deal with this all the time. We're talking about the data centers and the negativity and the looking for the catch, I guess, would probably be the way to put it. But that's across the board, isn't it, for you guys on the Public Service Commission? You deal with that every day.
Yes, the thing about energy or utilities is it's a formula. So everything goes into this formula. All the data that you collect, your capital investment costs, the energy costs, the transmission lines, all these things go into a formula, and it calculates out a rate, what it charges you per kilowatt hour. So in theory, if you have a company out there that's paying, just say, $100,000 a month on their electricity bill, or $200,000 a month, if the infrastructure cost is 8%, their $200,000 a month, 8% is a lot of money going to maintain the system. Therefore, in theory, offsetting some of our costs of maintaining the system.
It sounds almost too good to be true, Commissioner. I'm just going to be honest. It's almost all positives.
Well, the thing about it is, I don't know. I personally use AI a lot. I know a lot of people do. Some people don't, and I think that's the catch. Sometimes, if you don't use it, then people don't know why you need it. And so it is coming. It's kind of one of those things. Our keynote speaker said this yesterday too. Economist Stephen Moore. He said that it's kind of like fracking. Fracking used to be an ugly word until they started rebranding it. So they rebranded it shell fuels, like shell oil, shell gas. So once they started rebranding it, popularity went sky high, and I think he said it added over $6 trillion to the U.S. economy, and made us the number one oil and gas producer in the world. The United States isn't the number one oil and gas producer in the world.
And that's the kind of thing that happens when you get the messaging right. I don't think they've done that yet with artificial intelligence. I think you're right. That's a big part of the problem.
Well, and to your point, it came up at the conference here. The developers of AI warning us about AI. It does give you pause, because when Elon Musk and the Claude and all these other guys are saying, hey, we need to control it. It does give everybody pause. But the data centers themselves, they're just a warehouse full of computers that are computing information 24/7, and so that's even getting faster and more advanced. So I don't know if you heard, but I'm sure you have. But Microsoft has announced that they created a brand new element for the new processors. The new element for the periodic table to be able to compute faster. So quantum computing is right around the corner.
And if you think things are fast now, just wait. Come back in about 10 years and check with us. And that's the thing. Progress marches on whether you want it to or not. It's here. It's going to be here. It's going to be here in the future. So we better figure out how to work with it. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of that in Mississippi right now.
Yeah, we are. And back to XAI in DeSoto County, I know there's some temporary turbines are making more noise, and I know the community up there is really putting pressure on XAI to quiet down the noise from power generation. So last I heard, they invested, the company is investing millions to try to be good neighbors. And during the ice storm firm, back to that, there were 170,000 meters. That means homes and businesses out of power, and it was slow in parts of the northern district getting the power back on because there was so much debris and so many trees down. But Elon Musk and XAI literally donated 500 generators to citizens of North Mississippi to be able to have power at their home while they waited for their energy to be turned back on and for the linemen to get the power to them.
Commissioner, we're up against a break. Can you stick?
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Ready. Mornings with Richard Cross.
People want to hear the truth, man. That's what we're going to do.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk, Mississippi. Dave Hughes here, joined by Northern District Public Service Commissioner Chris Brown, who is also the president of, do you pronounce the acronym? And if so, how do you pronounce that acronym? Because the name is a mouthful.
Yes, it is. And so this industry is full of acronyms, too. It's pronounced SEARUC.
Okay, SEARUC. See, I was
yep.
I was going to say SEARUC, and that would have been totally wrong. But that makes more sense. Tell us a little bit about this and what's going on the coast.
And as president, we get to locate the annual education conference in our state. So I partnered with obviously my other two commissioners and colleagues to keep their stamps in the Central District and Wayne Carl in the Southern District to find a good venue in Mississippi, and we landed in Biloxi this year. So we'll have about 500 in attendance, and the SEARUC is the southeastern, but we've kind of expanded outside a little bit. So we're programmed to think the SEC, right? But we have the SEC schools, and including Oklahoma. We added Oklahoma last year, but we also have North Carolina and Puerto Rico.
Okay. Well, technically, I guess Puerto Rico would be included with the Southeastern. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, you mentioned it's an education conference. Is this kind of an exchanging of ideas amongst public service officials?
It is. And so we bring in experts from all over the country to try to help us guide regulators through some of the questions you brought up today. How do you generate energy? How do you make sure it's reliable? How do you keep resiliency up? How do you make sure it's affordable? And so those are the questions on everybody's asking. But the one thing the Southeast is getting right on energy, I tell people all the time, it's the most transformative time in energy since Edison discovered the light bulb. And it's a stretch, but it very much almost is. I mean, it's crazy how things are moving and how fast they are moving in the industry. But another analogy I use, if you build it, they will come, from Field of Dreams. So Mississippi is long on energy. So we produce quite a bit of energy in our state. And so that is allowing us, the MBA and the governor and his team to be able to recruit all kind of industry in Mississippi. So some states in the country have decided to have a war on natural gas and coal, so they don't have a lot of energy in those states. And so as these companies are looking to locate to bring their smelting or their steel metalworking or automotive manufacturing, you have to have energy for that. And so the Southeast has been open to all kinds of energy, coal, natural gas, wind, solar, whatever it takes to keep the cost low and the power reliable. And the Mississippi's done a great job there, and so is the Southeast. So we're we're growing by leaps and bounds in the southeastern states. So it's a perfect example of, if you get the policy right, then the industry and the economic development will come. Saw a statistic the other day that out of the 57%, I think that's the number, 57% of all the new jobs in the United States over the last 10 years are in the southeastern states.
And so, that makes a lot of sense. It really does, because if you get the basics right, it's like being in a sport. You got to get the fundamentals down. Once you get those down, good things happen.
Yes, sir, and we're starting to see the fruits of that labor. And you know, we're our population. We know as regulators that every dollar that you pay more in utilities is a dollar less you have to spend on your family. So we're very conscious of that. So we're constantly making decisions based on affordability, reliability, and availability. So if we get those three things right, then we will have a brighter future, literally and figuratively, for our kids and grandkids. I'll tell you this one example. We know what not to do. So we look at Germany as an example. Germany was the economic engine of Europe. But recently, Mississippi passed Germany in our per capita GDP. So if Germany joined the United States, Mississippi per citizen, we create more economic growth or economic capacity than the Germans do. One reason for that is they made bad energy decisions. So they scuttled their nuclear fleet and they went heavy on renewables. They were bragging first quarter of a year and a half ago that they had 50% of their energy was renewable, but they didn't tell you that they had the second highest per kilowatt hour energy costs in the world. So they started losing their industrial base. So now the quality of life is going down for the average German. They're not making as many durable goods there. So I tell people all the time, well, where are Mercedes made? A lot of them are made in Alabama, BMW, South Carolina, Volkswagen, Tennessee. So if you get it wrong, if you make bad energy policies today, you might not see the positive or negative fruits for 5, 10, 15 years. And energy policies like a big.
What are we going to do? Rise and shine with information and insight.
Check it out.
Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
Tourists there, they drove her a while. The border's a place, but on a brand new face. When the boys had just hit town, shake 'em up, roll 'em down. I guess it was fate. I hope I wasn't too late.
Digging deep in the archives. I love it. Welcome back. Hour number 3 of Mornings. Where'd you find that one,
Oh, that's
Lance?
one of my favorites, man. That's Texas Tornadoes. Little is better than none. But, it is Taco Tuesday, so you're going to get a obligatory, subliminal messaging there.
That makes perfect sense,
and
actually.
I am going to play because Doug Amaker, one of our great employees here in the Jackson office, account executive, he's listening in, and he knows I'm a Mars Attacks fan, I guess, because of the reference earlier. So he sends me the Slim Whitman Indian Love Call, 1952. Yes. We're going to use that as the intro on the next one. I would have waited till tomorrow, but then I'm like, that is the Mars Attacks song, and this is Tuesday is Aliens Day.
Well, spoilers for a 30-something-year-old movie. That's what kills the aliens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what blows. That's what I'm saying. What if we have like Mars Attacks aliens and you play Slim Whitman and their heads just explode into green slime, and then they start sewing people together like Short and who was the Sarah Jessica Parker?
Yes. Well, it was an all-star cast.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. I mean, what did it? Jack Nicholson plays a couple of characters in it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it was an all-star cast.
He was
most
the
of them
dumbest
died
president
gruesomely.
ever. Yeah, dumbest president ever and the dumbest developer ever. Jack Nicholson plays both those parts.
Dumbest president ever. I think we're forgetting Gerald Ford there, aren't we?
Well, I mean, I think that was who he was kind of modeling it after because everything was so set in that era too. It was so perfect, and I love the old throw. What do you call that when in movies or whatever when you use the noir, like, or you go backwards, but it's set in present time, but yet you're using the old 60s and 50s and 70s monikers.
It's retro.
Retro, yeah, I guess that's the right way to put it, yeah.
It's not really a period piece because that's actually supposed to be in the time that it's representing.
Yeah, they blend about 3 periods in that movie, which I remember my mother, and it was so funny. She was like, hey, let's go see this Mars Attacks movie. It's supposed to be funny. I mean, it's like right when it came out, We're like, yeah, sure, let's go do that. And I remember us sitting through it and at the end looking at each other like, what did we just sit through?
Yeah,
it was so bizarre that we went back a week later and watched it again. And we're like, yeah, this is, how awesome is this movie? I've never watched anything like this,
Don't get me started. I'll bring up Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh, I love Buckaroo Banzai, and that's a good one. And then the Adventures of Pluto Nash, that's another good one.
I saw a T-shirt I almost bought the other day online. It was a Hong Kong Cavaliers '84 tour T-shirt.
Oh, goodness.
It was great.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we digress.
I mentioned last hour about President Trump tweeting out the alien picture. Daily Mail has a story out saying that right after he did that, and I went and verified this because it's the Daily Mail, and it's true, Sean Parnell, he's the spokesperson for the Pentagon. He's the head spokesperson. He announced yesterday afternoon that the next batch of UFO files is being processed and about to be released.
Okay.
So,
do you think there's anything in there?
I think it's going to build.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. As usual, a lot of people said, well, there was no smoking gun in that first batch. Of course not. President Trump is many things, is highly skilled in many areas. One of those areas is entertainment. You don't lead with your best joke if you're a stand-up comedian. You don't lead with the big news in the first few batches. You just don't. You got to build it. You got to slowly tell the story and build it up until you get where you're trying to get to. That's what I think is going on here. So this will be, I would say, if we're going to put a number on it, 20% more interesting than what was in the first batch.
Well, how many political leaders, congressmen, dictators, monarchs, do you think are aliens? What is the percentage there? Like, once it's announced, like, how many of them are going to take their mask off and be like, hey, see, yeah, you had it right all along.
And let me just say, bleep blorp. I don't think that's the case.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Now, I'm not saying anything about whether or not there's a bleep blorp in the back room telling them what to do.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.
But I think that the humans are mostly human.
What if it turns out to be your dog? Like your dog is the alien, and we didn't know this all along, but all of a sudden you go, it's like your cats and dogs are the aliens that have been around all along. They've been here since the beginning.
No, you know what on planet Earth is the best possible example of possible alien life that's been here all along? No, an octopus.
I was at the crocodilo.
No, the octopus.
Yeah, that's a good one. The squid and the giant squid and the octopus.
Well, nobody can really explain how octopi, more than one octopus came along. And they're blindingly intelligent for a.
They got multiple brains, don't they?
Yeah, it's they're a slime ball with a lot of brains and 8 arms.
The one that gets me is the jellyfish. Like when you see those pictures in the deep ocean, and there's just jellyfish everywhere, and it's just like this brain with some tentacles hanging down. Like, man, that's an interesting concept there. Just a floating brain.
Well, my favorite thing when people start discussing the whole alien situation and they have a definitive answer, no, it doesn't exist. Do you realize that over 90% of the oceans on Earth are unexplored? Mm-hmm. We continuously, as we send things down, see life forms we've never seen before, and we have to figure out what they are. We don't know what's on this planet, and you're going to tell me you know what's out there? No. makes no sense.
Well, and Thomas brings up a great question. Maybe with all these data centers being built, he says you got to wait for all of them to be built first so they can implement all the mind control that's coming. And, probably be done by Apple. I mean, do you think Apple probably has a contract on that?
No, I hope not. I hope the Android apocalypse is coming because
no, don't do it to me. Don't take away my green.
Representative Tim Burchett from Tennessee, right to our north, he's been outspoken about this. He's been on the inside. He has the clearances. He knows what they're going through. Mm-hmm. His quote on this, he said right before it came out on May 8th, that was the first drop of documents, said the first drop will be big, but in comparison to what's coming, they will be a drop in the bucket. I would say, holy crap is coming.
Yeah, that's crazy times.
Every so often over the years, I have devolved into all of this kind of talk and conspiracy theories and everything else. Now we're talking about current events on this.
Well, let's just hope they don't need oil, right?
Golly. I hope they don't have oil. We'll go liberate them like they've never been liberated before.
Yeah, I mean, with Brent at 110, down $1.83 and WTI at 103, I'm hoping that they don't need oil. Maybe natural gas. Yeah, we got plenty of that.
I would suspect if they made it here, they're not using oil.
Maybe the crop circles are just, part of the connection with cow farts. Maybe that's what they're using. They're just hovering over the cow fields, and the byproduct of absorbing all of that methane is a crop circle.
This is why NASA has never called you and asked for advice.
Well, I had to go back to that because the bazooka from IUCA told me, Richie Harrelson, one of my good buds, great coach, great player, he said that the cow fart comment got him this morning. So I did want to circle back, but maybe with the crop circles and all that, that's what it's all about.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that, if this plays out the way a lot of highly placed people that are on the inside that know what's there are leading us to believe it's going to go, it's going to answer a lot of questions we've had over the decades, and it's going to give us about 10 times as many questions that we need answers to.
And the good one, too, is the Neil on the grass Tyson today, the moment you were discussing that, him having a full 180 is to me interesting. Not that it makes me believe any more or less, but somebody that's been a staunch advocate of no life out there, so to speak, now saying, hey, by the way, there probably is. That's unique, from a physicist.
His quotation was not, he said, the question is not, are we alone? The question is, are we ready?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a doubter.
No. Hopefully, it'll strengthen the petrodollar. That's what I care about.
Yeah, well, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah. I'm not really worried about what the aliens need right now. I just need cheaper gas prices and more food in my belly, that doesn't cost me $20 a meal.
I'm just saying, if you're laughing at this, President Trump is pushing this hard. This is a big deal for President Trump. Having said all of that, keep your Slim Whitman paused and ready to play. You might need it. You never know.
It's coming.
Stupider things have happened. Have you been here on Earth? Yeah, it's just the way it seems to work. We will continue on a beautiful Tuesday morning. Getting ready for some SEC action coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk to Michael Borkey about that from SportsTalk Mississippi. So stick around for that. That's up in about 15 minutes. Keep it here.
A locket that bears the name of a man that Brandy loved.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Go on, man. The news you need.
Every 10, 15 minutes, there's something.
The talk you love.
They really talk about the things that matter. I'm into all that stuff.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
When I'm calling you, will you answer to?
Cast a suspicious eye around everyone. Right now, if you see anyone wincing and suddenly putting their hand to their forehead, run. Best advice we can give you.
The head will explode.
Yes, it's coming shortly, and you're going to get goop all over you. So just get out of the way because those are nice shoes, and you don't want to mess them up.
When you look at this guy, Slim Whitman, and I never really have, honestly. I know the name, knew the music a little, but never really dug in. He does not look like a country music singer.
No, he looks like a shoe salesman.
He does. He does. Looks like a shoe salesman or something, like the vacuum cleaner guy that would come to your door.
Yes.
Yeah. Got a great little pencil-thin mustache, and a good coif of hair up there. I mean, it does not look like a country music musician.
It looks like he would knock on the door, you would answer it, and he would go, "Yes, ma'am, I need to talk to you about Simonization."
Yeah, and your pants would be pulled up to right under, or right over your navel, as high as you could get them.
Hold on, I got to lower my pants because now I'm feeling self-conscious.
Back then, though, the pants were cut so much higher, right? I remember my grandfather in the old Sansa belts. Those things, man, they rode high.
Yes.
They were cut different back in the day. But no, what a cool, thanks, Doug. I appreciate that. It's good stuff, man.
Now, one thing I want to point out, they had the shooting out in San Diego yesterday at the mosque. 3 people killed. The 2 shooters took their own lives a short time after that. I do want to point out that both of those were teenagers. This seems to be a building theme. We are seeing teenagers, 15 years old. So we had the shootings in Austin at the end of last week. It was a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old. This one, I think, was like a 17 and 18 or an 18 and 19. We're seeing a lot of teenagers going down this route. This pretty much has got to be chalked up to a failure in parenting, doesn't it?
Yes. From what I know, and I have not been able to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, but apparently the one of the kids at least had like 3 guns, if I remember, and the mother was like, well, the 3 guns are missing. Like, what are you talking about? Like, how does your child have 3 guns that you have access to, is underage, obviously, and is able to take off from the house and go do whatever they want?
Well, you have to wonder. I've seen conflicting reports on this. That one in question. And to be fair, the mom, as soon as she realized the guns were gone and her car was gone, called the police.
Well, that's when you have a gun safe with a lock on it.
Yeah, I want to give you a heads up of something that's going on. This is not normal. Last time I saw him before he left, he was dressed in fatigues, which he doesn't wear. Was there a father in the home?
That's a good question.
We hear about the mom. Was there a dad around?
Well, and the other question to me I would have is follow the online fingerprints and footprints from where they've been. And is there any indication? I mean, with all this snooping and all of the AI out there that's following everything and looking at all the stuff, you would think that there may have been something leading up to it that would have been a red flag. It wouldn't have just required mama to, some guns are missing,
It's entirely possible. Now, that, of course, is a slippery slope. If you want Big Brother watching every word you say everywhere at all times, well, that can wind up in a bad set of hands.
Yeah, but I mean, YouTube will. I mean, if you say like suicide or things like that on you, I mean, you basically get thrown off. So obviously there are, safeguards. I'm not saying the complete snoop down of everybody and everything, but safeguarding words. I think that if somebody said the bomb word or whatever in the wrong setting, it kind of gets picked up and red flagged. Is that how your assumption of this stuff works?
To a certain extent, yes. And I'm not entirely sure that's an appropriate response, and here's why. We had a guy just a couple of weeks ago who they delayed a flight, landed it somewhere other than the destination, and the cops came in and took this guy off because he was a threat. He had threatened to blow up the plane. No. Literally, what they found out was he had gone to the bathroom, and as he walked back and sat down, he looked at his seatmate and said, "Man, I blew that bathroom up."
No.
Now, that's the problem, though. Yeah, it's great to have safety features. It's definitely great to, watch out for indicators. At the same time, that very quickly turns into, if you say anything that anyone could even mishear and misconstrue to sort of possibly be a problem, well, we're just arresting you. That's not the road I think we need to go down.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old communist world, right? Where, the whole world within that country was basically working for the government to spy on everybody. Yeah. And so that's not obviously what we want. And again, I'm playing devil's advocate here a little bit, going, how do you stop these things? You can't take away the guns, right? I mean, that's a God-given right here in this country. You have free speech, apparently. You got those rights as well. But, policing people before they do something, I mean, that's very Minority Report-ish.
Yes. How did that movie turn out?
Yeah, not good.
Right. That's kind of a cautionary tale in and of itself. That's the problem. The monitoring of specific words and making sure they're not used. You must not say this. Well, that's literally the opposite of free speech. And it's treating the symptom, not the disease. You've got to get to these kids. You've got to get to these parents more specifically and have them raise their kids correctly. We have pretty intensive issues in that area right now. We have a lot of people raising kids that, in my opinion, shouldn't be. Because
isn't it the government's job to do that for us now?
Don't make me drive to Jackson and slap you. I'll do it. I'll do it right as soon as we get off the air. I'm just over an hour away. I'll just walk in the door and you'll say, "Hey, Dave," and I'll go. And then walk right back out and drive home. Stop for a chicken biscuit.
And I'll say, "Thanks. I needed that."
That would be asked for. But we have to get a handle on this from the beginning. I'm sorry, by the time they're 17 or 18, it's too late. The problem has already been created, and that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing the results of decisions and opinions and methods that were used 15 to 20 years ago. And now we're seeing what that has led to. We have to turn it around and instill different attitudes and values, if it's even possible. I don't know if it is, because I have to wonder how much of this is due to bad parenting and how much of this is due to permissive parenting, trying to be their child's friend.
I want to be my kid's best friend.
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
We're best friends. You can tell me anything. No, sometimes you just got to smack them. I'm sorry.
Well, and
I'm going to get letters about that, and I don't care. You just got to smack them.
I grew up with a couple kids, and they were good friends of mine, but they were the type that, parents really never said, "Hey, my child did anything wrong." They're always good. They're the greatest. And even when they'd mess up, and, you always heard that kind of excuse making. "Oh, it wasn't my son." And, 20 years later, you kind of see the byproduct of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't hide as you get older. You know what I'm saying?
I don't blame the teenagers that are doing these things. I mean, yes, they're responsible. They have to take blame. But the real blame to me lies with the parents. Because if you raise a kid properly, as we see all over the place, and especially here in Mississippi, if you raise a kid properly, they don't do things like this. That's my opinion. But you do that the right way, instill the right values, instill a moral compass in them, because human beings, no creature on the planet is born with a moral compass. That's not baked in. That doesn't just happen. That has to be taught. Just like everybody has to be taught how to talk. Everybody has to be taught how to use a fork without leaving 4 little evenly spaced holes on their forehead because they missed. You have to teach these things, and I don't think they're being taught. Yeah. That's my view of the problem. What's the solution? We're kind of at a point in a situation, we've let this go on for so long, desperately trying to care about whether or not a kid can decide what sex they are, to that extent, leaning into what they want, that the horse is out of the barn now, kind of.
Yeah. It's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube, so to speak.
Wasn't even a good flavor toothpaste to begin with.
I like Aquafresh the best. It's just prettiest, you know. Makes me feel like I'm doing something, you know. I'm creating art in my mouth.
There is no way I'm going to unpack that, even if I had the time. Coming up next.
Say finally.
This is why I didn't become a therapist, because I would just leave the room most of the time. Coming up next, the one, the only, Mr. Michael Borkey. Borkey's going to join us. It's a big baseball day. We're about an hour away from first pitch for the Rep.
From the SeaRUC. Coffee, conversations, and clarity. What a great way to start your Mississippi day. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back to Mornings, presented by the fine folks at Community Bank. And we are joined now by a man who, well, I know what you're doing with your next few hours, Michael Borkey from SportsTalk, Mississippi. How you doing today, Michael?
Yeah, coffee and baseball. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, the early morning first pitches just, it doesn't almost feel right to me.
No, gosh, it doesn't. And you know, there's a qualm with this that Haydad and I have. And we are both right. You can't win this argument. The SEC is the almighty when it comes to everything involving their teams. They say jump, everybody else has to say how high. If we want you to kick off a football game at midnight, guess what? You're kicking off a football game at midnight. So I know you have this bracket, and there's seeds and all that stuff. You can make the games start whenever you want to. Tomorrow, if Ole Miss beats Missouri today, tomorrow, Ole Miss and Mississippi State will play at 9:30 in the morning. Those are two of maybe 5 programs in the league that actually bring a crowd to Hoover, or would anyway. That game needs to be played at night. I guess Auburn will play the winner of LSU-Oklahoma. If Oklahoma beats LSU, Auburn and Oklahoma will have, 4,500 or so people in that stadium. If it were State Ole Miss tomorrow night, yes, even in Hoover, at 7 o'clock or whatever, you'd pack the place out. Why are we playing these games at 9:30 in the morning featuring these teams? I get throwing Missouri in there. Kentucky and Vanderbilt should be the 9:30 game. Their fan bases don't travel regardless of start time. So, I mean, it's kind of fun, I guess, for those that have to work. They can put the game on their screen or whatever, but the SEC's got to throw Hoover a bone here. These two fan bases travel to this tournament, and they're not going to as much because it's at 9:30 in the morning.
Exactly. And, back to back, like you said. And then just to top it off, if Ole Miss wins today, they play State tomorrow. And then whoever wins that game gets number 1 Georgia in the next round.
And that's that game will start right when our show begins. So we'll just have to do like a watch along, I suppose. But yeah, it's interesting. The SEC tournament's always fun. There's a lot of discussion, and I think it's accurate, about just how much it actually matters in terms of adjusting your postseason standing. And even, there's a larger conversation about, if you make it all the way to Sunday and win, that's great. You hang a banner, but it very well could harm you in a way for regionals next week, which are a lot more important than winning the SEC tournament. So it's fun, and there's stuff on the line. Ole Miss could play their way into a host. I think they've got to win at least 3 games. Mississippi State probably can't play their way into a national seed at this point, and I don't think they can play themselves out of hosting either. So there's some things on the line. It's more of just kind of fun and something to do, as opposed to like a real intense, like these games, every pitch means the world. That's next weekend. This weekend is more of a novelty as opposed to an intense situation.
It's kind of the SEC All-Star Tournament in a way. It doesn't really affect the standings, like you said, like
can.
next week.
Ole Miss beats Missouri State and Georgia, and then you have a discussion about whether or not they can host. Right now, they're not going to. But if you win those 3 games, that certainly does change that discussion. So, again, for them, that's on the line for sure. But it also it depends on the year. The committee changes and stuff like that. But, there's no way of knowing for sure how much that's actually going to matter to the committee. Some years it has. I mean, Florida went 15-15 in the league, won 4 games in Hoover, and ended up hosting. That's kind of the threshold that Ole Miss needs to reach. And again, for State, not to leave them out, but they're hosting. They're going to host. If they lose to Ole Miss tomorrow, they're still going to host. And I don't think they can play their way into a national seed. So they're just kind of there to get some reps and maybe go hang a banner if they can win a bunch of games. But I don't think State's status is changing at all this week.
Let's talk about the Rebels in Missouri today. How do you see this playing out? I mean, by the seedings, it's fairly simple, but it's never that simple.
No, it's not. And beating Missouri will not help them at all. They just have to do it in order to get to the better teams here in Hoover. I mean, Missouri's a bad baseball team. It's the worst program in the SEC. They're improving. They're trying to, but they don't invest in baseball the same way. Their starting pitcher today is actually their ace of their staff. They shortened his outing last week in order to prepare him to start here because there's no way Missouri's making the tournament unless they win 5 games here in Hoover this week. So it's the right call by their coach to do that. So Ole Miss is facing the ace of the Missouri staff today. The good thing for Ole Miss, though, is if you look at his numbers, it's not particularly ace-like. Will Libbert on the hill for Ole Miss, he is actually a Missouri transfer, so facing off against his old team, and started the season as a weekend starter, just has not had it for a lot of reasons. And the stuff has been there at times, but ended up getting removed from that role to be a bullpen guy and just hasn't put it together quite yet. And what I said on the show yesterday, it sounds kind of goofy, but Ole Miss is in not a win-win scenario, but a win and a loss doesn't hurt you scenario. If they lose to Missouri today, their status is not changing either. They're going to go be a 2 seed somewhere. They're going to be a 2 seed if they win and then lose to State. They're going to be a 2 seed if they lose today. So that doesn't really matter. But if they win and Libbert pitches well, that's an encouraging thing going into next weekend and then possibly next season. And then you get a shot at State and Georgia to try to get yourself a host. So there's not much downside to a result today other than possibly vibes, I suppose. It would not feel good to lose to Missouri for Ole Miss. You wouldn't love that. But it's kind of like a win and a loss doesn't hurt you scenario today.
And let me ask you, how do you think that will impact the motivation of the Rebel baseball team? Because, the way you're describing it, if they win, great. If they lose, it just seems like without more stakes in it, they might have a little bit more trouble getting into it.
It being early is probably college kids might have a hard time waking up this morning, but no, it shouldn't be. If they have a hard time getting motivated today, knowing that if they make a run here that they can host in their stadium, then it's revelatory of bad character on the team, and I don't think this team has that. So if they're not fired up and ready to play this morning, despite opponent and time of day and what will likely be a pretty empty stadium, none of that should matter. Because, again, if you make a run, you're hosting. And there should be no greater motivation than playing postseason baseball in your ballpark. And that's on the line. And so, especially a guy like Will Furness and Utermark and those guys that have played a lot of baseball, I would be shocked if Ole Miss is not prepared mentally to play this game. That doesn't mean they're going to win, but if they're not locked in mentally and prepared, then next week doesn't matter anyway because they're not losing or they're not winning next week either. But I don't foresee that happening here in about 45 minutes from right now.
Now, we talked about Mississippi State being up tomorrow for whoever wins today. Obviously, you would think State would rather see Missouri, just because, if they're using their, and I'm going to do the air quotes, ace today, They got second string coming up tomorrow, and they feel like it's going to be a ball. I don't know. I think State would rather have Ole Miss.
Yeah, as a general principle in a tournament, you'd rather play the lesser talented team always, but imagine what that will do for your Q rating if you're Brian O'Connor with your fan base, if you go 5-0 against Ole Miss in year one. I mean, that will be – and that's what's so – Ole Miss needs to beat Missouri first, but tomorrow, I mean, that it's just the SEC tournament, but the implications of that record is fascinating because from Mike Bianco's perspective – you know, Mississippi State and your record against Mississippi State obviously hasn't changed your job status, but 0-5 in one season against Mississippi State will create some angst that already exists with that rivalry. He has struggled in the last decade against Mississippi State, and fans are fed up with that. But you know, it hasn't cost him his job or anything like that. And on the flip side, Brian O'Connor in year one, and you can go 5-0 against Ole Miss in year one. I mean, they already love the guy there, even though the season didn't end the way fans were hoping, considering the way it started. But, I mean, that would just do so much for his Q rating in Starkville to go 5-0 in year one against Ole Miss. It's hard to describe.
And let's be honest, in a year, if you only win one game, if you're at State, it better be against Ole Miss, and vice versa. You do that, you've got something to hang your hat on.
And in baseball, I mean, you got 50 of them. So, you know, the series, the Egg Bowl of baseball, if you will, isn't a make or break the way it is in football when you only have 12 games. But, boy, 0-5 or 5-0 is that's different for sure. So we'll see. We'll see here in a little bit.
It's definitive. It's hard to argue with it at that point with the result either way. Michael Borkey, Sports Talk Mississippi, this afternoon at 3 o'clock. You want to hang around for the last segment?
I certainly can.
Fantastic. We're keeping him from his breakfast, and since I'm hungry, that seems fair. We'll continue with Michael Borkey right after this on Mornings.
Taking a final look.
You're waking up to what matters. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. CommunityBank.net is where you can go to find out more information about all they offer for you, your business, your family, and your life in general. Got Michael Borkey from Sports Talk Mississippi in the studio, in the big chair in there. I wanted to ask, I know it's SEC tournament week, but we do have regionals coming up. I wanted to ask for your thoughts on my Golden Eagles at USM.
Well, they've got a conference tournament this week as well. We just don't know who they're playing yet. They surged at the end of the season. Coastal Carolina fell apart, and so Southern Miss got the 1 seed. I mean, they've been awesome. The 10th straight 40-win season, 6 players on all the Sun Belt team. Ostrander wins Coach of the Year. It's been a really unbelievable. I say unbelievable. It's actually entirely believable that Southern Miss is doing this yet again. They are hosting in Hattiesburg. That will happen. Go ahead and make your plans. There's nothing that can happen this week that will change that. The only thing that Southern Miss can change at this point is they can become a national seed. That's going to take a lot of work. They probably have to win the Sun Belt tournament to move up that high, but it's on the table for them. And they can do that. Obviously, they're the best team in the league, and they've got the pitching depth that probably nobody else in the Sun Belt has, so they're equipped to win a tournament like this. But, yeah, they're hosting next week, and you can expect Tennessee or Arkansas or somebody like that to be there. I mean, the committee's just going to send an SEC team to Hattiesburg. They're going to do that. Luckily, Jeremy McClain's on that committee, though, so I don't think if Ole Miss does not host, you'll see Ole Miss in Hattiesburg. as long as their AD has something to do about that. But you're going to get an SEC team there more likely than not. It's what they do every year, but Southern Miss is equipped for it. They pitch it well enough, especially in these formats where you might have to win 4 or 5 games. They're built for that on the mound, where other teams are not. So it's been an awesome season, and this might be their best chance to make the College World Series that they've had over the last decade.
Well, and you talk about that they have been successful for a while now, for several years. At what point do you start throwing the word dynasty around? How long do you have to be this good consistently before that becomes a discussion you can have?
It's a dynasty at the conference level. But the thing that they're missing is that they have not made the College World Series, at least in quite some time anyway. But in this run, that's what they have to do in order to take another step forward. Now, they're a highly respected program around the country. People recognize what they've built, and I mean, when you compare them to other teams at that level of conference, I mean, there's Coastal Carolina has a national championship. They've been back to the College World Series, but there's very few that are on the same plane, on the same tier as Southern Miss. But if they're going to take that step forward and create a larger conversation around the program, it's got to be Omaha. They got to find a way back there, and I think this team is equipped to do it. But that's what's stopping them from being looped into that conversation is the infrequent trips to Omaha.
Well, I think you're probably right, and I also think you're right that this is the best chance I think they've had in a while to get there with the makeup of the team, and they surged at the right time. They had a little stumble or two there, but boy, did they put it together at exactly the right time at the end of the season. It's kind of what you want to see happen.
Oh, absolutely. Peaking at the right time. I don't care about opponent. Some of our listeners are like, yeah, well, they haven't played anybody. I don't care if you're playing high school teams. Winning the way that they have lately is super impressive. And, I mean, they have a strength of schedule. For a Sun Belt team, their strength of schedule is in the top 20. So it's not like they've played nobody. They've played one of the best schedules in the country when you realize that there's 300 college baseball teams. So they're battle tested. They scheduled really well in the non-conference. They have 3 wins over SEC teams. I mean, they're legit. It's all about draw, as most things are with sports like baseball. And if they get the right draw, they've got a shot.
Now, coming up here in just over 30 minutes, we've got Ole Miss and Missouri at the SEC tournament, and the broadcast is going to take over as soon as we're done here.
Yeah, sorry, Gerard.
Yeah, he's got the day off. So, hopefully he'll be sitting at home watching the game or at the game, actually, possibly with Gerard. So if you're on listening to an Ole Miss station that carries Ole Miss athletics here on the SuperTalk network, when we get done, which is right now because there's the bumper, we're going to be going to Ole Miss baseball, 9:30 the first pitch, and 9:30 the first pitch tomorrow for Mississippi State, and if they win today, also Ole Miss in Egg Bowl Junior. We'll just call it that.
Times 5.
Times 5, yeah, that's the big thing on the line here. Michael Borkey, always appreciate having you in here, Borkey.
Of course, anytime.
That's it. We are done for today. Get ready for some Rebel baseball at the SEC tournament coming up here in just a few moments on SuperTalk Mississippi for all of the Ole Miss stations. You have a wonderful time. You and I will catch up again soon.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.